Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In this lecture, we will study the derivation of the induction motor induced torque equation. In the previous lecture, we studied the torque speed characteristic conceptually, and now mathematically we will derive the equation of induced torque. In this lecture, to derive a general expression for induced torque as a function of speed, as we already know that the torque induced is equal to P converted divided by omega m, or torque induced is equal to P of air gap over omega synchronous. These two formulas we already studied in the previous lecture. But now in this lecture we are going to find the torque induced equation, which is as a function of speed. Torque induced as a function of speed. Means when slip increase, when speed decreases, slip increase, and how torque induced behave. So in this equation we will derive that equation in this lecture. So the air gap power is the power crossing the gap from the stator circuit to the rotor circuit, and it is equal to the power absorbed in the resistor R2 by S. As we already studied this one also. Here is the P air gap, and P air gap is equal to I2 square R2 by S. I2 square R2 by S, and for a three phase, P of air gap is equal to 3I2 square R2 by S. This R2 by S consists, R2 is the rotor resistance and slip is the speed, which also indicates the load. When load increases, slip increases. So the whole parameter indicates rotor resistance and connected load. And this connected load multiplied by I square R is equal to the P of air gap. So P of air gap is equal to 3I2 square R2 by S. Torque induced can be calculated if P of air gap is calculated, and P of air gap can be calculated if I2 is calculated. In order to calculate the I2 in this circuit, in this equivalent circuit, Thevenin theorem is used. I hope you all people knew about the Thevenin theorem and you know how to apply this Thevenin theorem. And in order to calculate the I2, we are going to apply the Thevenin theorem. And for the Thevenin theorem, first have to be calculated V Thevenin at this point and X Thevenin at this point, and then make a circuit of V Thevenin, X Thevenin and this resistance in series, and then calculated I2. How V Thevenin can be calculated? V Thevenin can be calculated as shown in this figure. V Thevenin can be calculated at this point just by voltage divider rule. I hope you all people knew about this voltage divider rule. V Thevenin is equal to this J of Xm divided by R1, all sum of all these, R1 J of X1 plus J of Xm into V phase, this V phase, and its magnitude is given as Xm divided by r1 का स्क्वायर प्लस x1 प्लस xm का स्क्वायर अंडर रूट इंटू v phase. This is the V Thevenin magnitude at this point. Now practically and actual there are two equations given here. Which one is the first one is that the value of xm is very higher than x1 and the value of xm is very higher than r1. Putting these two equations, considering these equations, this equation will be modified as V Thevenin as xm is greater than r1. This xm is very high than r1, so r1 can be ignored. Because the value of r1 is very small, so r1 value can also be ignored and the resultant will become xm divided by x1 plus xm square under root into v phase, and this, so the V Thevenin magnitude is x1 plus x plus xm into v phase. So by putting these two realities, the resultant V Thevenin equation becomes simpler. Now the next step is the calculation of Z Thevenin. We already calculated the V Thevenin and now have to calculate the Z Thevenin at this point. Same here at this point. What will be the value of Z Thevenin? At this point, first short circuit this one and then calculate the Z Thevenin at this point. When we short circuit these lines, this reactance and these impedance will becomes in parallel with each other, and the resultant Z Thevenin can also be given as this multiplied by this divided by sum of all these, as we calculate the Z Thevenin in parallel. J of xm into r1 plus j of x1 divided by r1 plus j of x1 plus x1. Yes, this is the value of Z Thevenin. Now Z Thevenin is equal to R Thevenin plus X Thevenin, which is equal to J of xm into R1 plus J of x1 divided by R1 plus J into x1 plus xm. When solve this equation, and there are the other two equality put there, two equations like that, xm is greater than x1 and xm plus x1 is greater than r1. Considering these two equations and solving the upper equation, the R Thevenin will become this one, r1 into xm divided by x1 plus xm whole square, and X Thevenin will become x1. These are the approximately equal, not equal, because we putting here equalities equations. And now this is your task also, this one. from this and considering these equations, you have to derive the results, which are these one. You have to do it on a single paper. Solve it on paper. Take a picture and embed it in the Word file and send this Word file to me on email. And the Word file name is your reg number. This is your assignment 3 part B. I hope you will understand what you have to do. Just you have to derive R-Thevenin and X-Thevenin from here, putting these two assumptions on a single paper. So after calculating V-Thevenin and Z-Thevenin, the resultant equivalent circuit look like this. This is V-Thevenin, which is calculated, R-Thevenin, X-Thevenin, and this is J of X2 R2 by S. This is R-Thevenin, this is J of X-Thevenin, this is J of X2, this is R2 by S, and the current flowing in it is I2. Now the current I2 can be found as I2 is equal to voltage V-Thevenin divided by this resistance and impedance, which is Z-Thevenin plus Z2, and it will become R-Thevenin plus R2 by S plus J into X-Thevenin plus X2. This is the value of I2. And the magnitude of this current is given as V-Thevenin divided by its resistance square plus reactance square whole under root. This is the magnitude of I2. Now we calculated the value of I2, putting this value of I2 in the P of air gap formula. As we know, P of air gap is equal to 3 into I2 square R2 by S. Putting this equation here, we can find the power of air gap. By putting this equation here, the resultant power of air gap is 3 V-Thevenin square R2 by S divided by R-Thevenin plus R2 by S square plus X-Thevenin plus X2 का square. This is P of air gap, and torque induced, we know P of air gap over omega synchronous. Putting this value, all this value here, we can calculate the torque induced in the terms of slip. So the final value of torque induced is 3 V-Thevenin square R2 by S whole divided by mega synchronous into R Thevenin plus R2 by S square X Thevenin plus X2 square. This is the value of torque induced, which is calculated in terms of slip. And when plotted this equation torque induced, the plot of torque induced look like this, as we already studied in the previous lecture. This is the N synchronous. So that's how torque plot look like. This is the full load torque. This is the maximum torque, which is pull out torque. This one is the starting torque, and you can see from this figure that the starting torque is higher than the full load torque. So the motor can start at full load. Full load torque 100%, 200%, and it is 400%. From this curve, there are some points have to be noted. I will discuss it one by one. From this figure, the number one point is that the induced torque of the motor is 0 at synchronous speed. This is the synchronous speed, and at this point the induced torque is 0. That's why the induction motor will not run, the rotor of the induction motor will not run at the synchronous speed. The second point, the torque speed curve is nearly linear between no load and full load. This is no load when it is moving approximately to the synchronous speed, and to full load the torque is approximately linear. Torque speed curve is approximately linear. The third point of this curve is there is a maximum possible torque that cannot be exceeded. This is the maximum torque, which is the pull out torque. At this pull out torque, when further load is increased, the motor move towards stopping and motor will stop, because there is the maximum limit of this torque. Before this torque, motor will not operate, and which is 2 to 3 times the rated full load torque. If rated full load torque is 100% and it is approximately about to 400 or 300%, which is 2 to 3 times of the full load torque. So full load torque is very higher than the pull out torque is very higher than the full load torque. Another point to be considered is the starting torque on the motor is slightly larger than its full load torque. So this motor will start carrying any load that it can supply at full power. At this point, when start the motor will start at full load. Another point of this curve is that if the motor of the induction motor is driven faster than the synchronous speed, then the direction of the induced torque in the machine reverses and the machine becomes a generator, converted mechanical power to electrical power. And the next point is, if the direction of the magnetic field reverses, for example, the stator ABC parameters is connected to the 3-phase supplies of ABC, and if that one is reverses, ABC, if these are three-phase supply and these are motor connected to these parameters, motor for example moving in the anti-clockwise direction, rotor is moving in the anti-clockwise direction, but if these are reversed, then motor will start moving in the clockwise direction. In the beginning, the magnetic field, stator magnetic field will start moving in the clockwise direction, and when stator magnetic field start moving in the clockwise direction, it will slow down the rotor and rotor will become stop. This process is used to stop the rotor very rapidly. For example, now synchronous speed is on the other direction and rotor is moving in this direction. Synchronous speed is reverse, so it will stop the rotor immediately, and this process is known as plugging. So P converted can be given as torque induced omega m, and when plotted the value of P converted on the same graph, its graph looks like this. At 0, when omega m is 0, P out is P converted is 0. P out is 0, but torque induced is not 0. Similarly, you can see on this graph the peak occurs at different point. Notice that the peak power supplied by the induction motor occurs at different speed than the maximum torque, and of course no power is converted to mechanical form when the rotor is at 0 speed. So these 2 points can be indicated from this graph. Till now we calculated the induced induction motor torque in the terms of speed, in terms of slip, and we also check the value of P converted at different speeds. And now we are moving towards on which parameters the maximum torque in an induction motor depends. Maximum torque, pull out torque depends upon which parameters, and how to calculate the maximum torque. Since the induced torque, we know it is equal to P of air gap over omega synchronous, and this will be maximum when P of air gap is maximum. When P of air gap is maximum, P of air gap is 3I2 square R2 by S. When power consumed in this resistor is maximum, then P of air gap is maximum, and when is the power supplied to R2 by S at its maximum? When power at this point is maximum. This can be calculated by the maximum power theorem. Maximum power transfer theorem states that maximum power transfer to the load resistor R2S will occur when the magnitude of the load impedance is equal to the magnitude of the source impedance. For example, this is the load impedance when its magnitude is equal to the source impedance. This is the source impedance. When this magnitude is equal to this magnitude, then the maximum power transfer occur. And it can be given as the source is equal to R Thevenin plus J of X Thevenin plus J of X2, and Z source is equal to Z load is equal to R2 by S. and when both these are equal, the maximum power transfer occur, and then it will become R2 by S is equal to R Thevenin plus J of X Thevenin plus J of X2, and its magnitude can also be given as R2 by S is equal to R Thevenin का square plus X Thevenin under root. From that point, the value of slip at which the maximum power occurs is equal to R2 divided by R Thevenin का square plus X Thevenin plus X2 का square. So at this point, at this slip, the maximum power transfer occur. From this equation you can note that the referred rotor resistance R2 appears only in the numerator, so the slip of the rotor at maximum torque is directly proportional to the rotor resistance. So at slip at which maximum the slip at which maximum pull out torque occur depends directly on the resistance. So we can control by the slip at which maximum torque occur by controlling the value of R2. R2 is the rotor resistance. As we already know and studied that in the wound rotor motor, we can control the resistance of the rotor, as its resistance is connected through slip rings and carbon brushes to the stator winding, and we can insert some external resistance, and by adding some external resistance we can control the pull out torque at different speed. So we can adjust the pull out torque according to different slips by controlling the value of the resistor. This is the figure shows here. If the value of R1 is high, is small, then its pull out torque occur at smaller slip. As the value of resistances are increasing, the maximum pull out torque occur at maximum slip. These equations look like that, and there is the advantage of this is like that we will study later in this lecture. Now the torque maximum pull out torque is given as by putting the value of this S maximum in equation of torque induced. This is 1, for example. This is the torque induced equation. Putting the value of S here and here in this equation, putting value of S, as this value is S maximum, so the resultant solving this equation, the torque maximum value will become which is 3V Thevenin square divided by 2 into omega synchronous into R Thevenin plus under root R Thevenin square plus into X Thevenin plus X2 square. So this is the T maximum pull out torque. So now here is also assignment 3 part C. in which you have to calculate the value of T maximum, which is this one, by putting value of X maximum S maximum in torque induced equation and drive it step by step. Take a picture of that page, insert it into the Word file and send it to me. Collectively, the assignment 3 part 1, part 1, part 2, part 3, which is ABC, by email till 2021. So from one more point is clear from the equation is that at which the maximum torque occur is directly proportional to rotor resistance. Slip at which the maximum torque occur is directly proportional to the rotor resistance, which we study here. S max is directly proportional to R2, but T maximum is not dependent on R2. So it means R2 can control the value of S at which T maximum occurs, but it cannot control the value of T maximum. Yes, here again it is telling that it is possible to insert resistance in the rotor circuit of a wound rotor because the rotor circuit is brought out to the stator through slip rings. Notice on the figure that as the rotor resistance is increased, the pull-out speed of the motor decreases, but the maximum torque remains constant. He is telling about this figure that the maximum torque is constant, but the maximum torque occurs at which slip can be controlled by this resistance. However, this resistance value cannot control the maximum torque value, but it controls the maximum torque value occurs at which slip. So this thing has one advantage, and one advantage is that if a resistance is inserted into the rotor circuit, the maximum torque can be adjusted to occur at starting condition. For example, if high load is connected to the induction motor, so starting torque is required high, and at the starting the maximum torque is required, so high value of resistance is adjusted so that the maximum torque occurs like this. In R5 or R6, the maximum torque occurs in the beginning, so motor will start at the maximum torque in the beginning, and same as motor start beginning, the value of resistance, inserted resistance, is decreasing, and the maximum pull out torque will move from this to this, and then motor will run at the maximum pull out torque near the synchronous speed. This is the advantage of controlling the resistance of the wound rotor motor. Now there is example 7.4. A 2-pole 50 Hz induction motor supplies 15 kW at a load of speed of 2950 revolution per meter. First one, motor slip. What will be the motor slip? As we know, the synchronous speed is given as 120 Fe over P. Fe is 50, P is 2 pole. Putting these values here, divided by 2, 3000 revolutions per minute. And slip formula you already know is equal to n synchronous minus nm divided by n synchronous multiplied by 100%. It will become 3000 minus rotor speed is 2950 divided by 3000 multiplied by 100%, and it will become 0.0167 or 1.67. This is the slip. Part B is the what is the induced torque in the motor. Torque induced formula we already know that torque induced is equal to P converted over omega m or P air gap over omega synchronous. Here air gap is not given, so we will use P converted. However, P converted is also not given, but P out is given, P load is given, and we can consider P converted is equal to P load because there are no friction and windage losses, and stray losses are not given, so P converted is equal to P load. P converted, P load is equal to 15 kilo divided by omega m is equal to 2950 into 2 pi radian into 1 by 60. By solving this, torque induced is 48.6 Newton meter. Part C is what will be the operating speed of the motor B if its torque is doubled. What will be the operating speed? What will be the Nm if torque induced becomes double? As we already study in the torque equation that it becomes here linear. If torque becomes double, it means the here slip also become double. This is torque. If torque increase, slip here also increase, so slip also becomes double. The given slip is 1.67 and its double is slip will become 3.33%, and using this in equation 1 minus s into n synchronous 1 minus 0.0333 into n synchronous 2900 revolutions per minute. So if torque becomes double, slip becomes double, so its revolution per minute speed is decreased. So now part D. Part D is power at this point. Power when the torque is double, and we know P converted is equal to torque induced omega m. Torque induced, if torque is, we found torque here is 48.6, and if it becomes double, so its value becomes 97.2. So putting this value here, (97.2) into omega m 2900 2 pi radian divided by 60 second, so value is 29.5 kilowatt.